Hey everyone, right now we're going to be looking into our third Wi-Fi battle. It's probably around the fourth, but I didn't really want to count the one that should count as a second one, just because it was more like a half a game at that point. But we're going to be going into our third game here. Hopefully we'll get a good one. We're still using the exact same team as we did in the previous battle video. With the usual suspects plus Aegislash. I am still going to be kind of holding out a little bit for Aegislash, just trying to see what works, what doesn't work. I still feel like with the bulk that I'm running, that I could be using something like a weakness policy, but we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Maybe I can play a little bit smarter and find more usage for leftovers. We'll see. So we will be going up against Isaiah, who's going to set everything to the level 50, which is perfectly fine. So the team, again, is the Urshifu Water, Aegislash, Landorus, Therian, as well as Celesteela, Blissey, and Tapu Koko. I definitely kind of want to showcase Tapu Koko a little bit more as well. I think that's a Pokemon that really hasn't done too much except for dealing with Swampert. I think that's been pretty much it. Oh my gosh. Interesting. This is probably one of the more scarier teams that I've had to go up against, and I actually may lose this, but I think it's going to be pretty important that I take a lot of learning lessons from this. I still don't know if he's playing like Smogon rule set or not. I don't want to fight Dynamax Zygarde. I think that's going to be the biggest issue, and I'm just going to have to Koko that. Koko is going to come in handy a lot here. He's gonna put in a little extra effort for us here. What if he just leads off with Pex? Would you just lead off with Pex? Decisions, huh? If he leads off with Pex, the only thing I really have for it is Koko, right? I could go Lando. Lando only really affects like two things, really. Maybe three with the Corviknight, maybe. That's a maybe. That's only dependent on its ability. That it wouldn't just bounce that back. This is gonna be very interesting. I could lead off with the Koko. The only thing I'm worried about per se is something like Kartana. Because I immediately have to get out of there if it's Kartana. Zygarde would be something I'd have to be careful of. Again, I don't know if he's playing by Smogon rule set. If he is playing Zygarde that can like transform into some Megazord, into its like complete form, that's going to be very, very bad to deal with. We're gonna see Clefable though. This is pretty interesting. One of the things that I actually noticed about the Celesteela, which I'm actually thinking about throwing in here, but one of the things I noticed about it is like if I am going up against somebody that is like Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed, my Heavy Slam doesn't work, so I may need to kind of rethink that. I could easily just go for the Volt Switch here. If he wants to go Zygarde, I'm immediately going to Dynamax into that, right? Like no matter how much I want to play by like Smogon OU rule set, there's nothing that we've decided on as two players, like I'm playing by this rule set, you're playing by this rule set, so let's figure this out, right? That did a lot. That did a lot. Are you just gonna SR here? Am I just going to get SR'd? I don't know if it's carrying Flamethrower or not, or anything, right? That could be a problem. That could be a big problem. What are you trying to do here, though? I'm thinking. Lando can kind of take a hit. I can kind of see what it wants to do. Maybe I could also just potentially get a U-turn off the following turn. Or I could easily Earthquake, maybe. And potentially knock it out. It goes for Stealth Rocks, which is perfectly fine, I guess. If I get Stealth Rocks on his side of the field, I could potentially force his Corviknight to defog it. I still don't have a defogger or rapid spinner on this team, so that's definitely something that kind of just hinders me in the long run. What would even want to come in here? Pex doesn't really appreciate the EQ. It can take it, but it shouldn't. Corviknight is also a potential that could come in, right? A lot of decisions here. I'm also just going to set up Stealth Rock here, as he's going to withdraw. And then what? The horse? Oh, no. Okay, so it is Corviknight. And this is something that I was actually a little bit worried about, which is why I didn't want to immediately EQ, because he does have a flying type. And like I said, like Toxapex doesn't necessarily want to eat an EQ if it doesn't have to. It could potentially recover with Black Sludge. It could return and build up again through Regenerator. But I don't think it I don't think it really absolutely needed to. I could probably just go for a U-turn here. Do you just defog? Do you just defog? Do you just defog? Maybe. Okay, so I'm playing with Dynamax as an option here, and it really is going to come down to Coco getting it for the most part. What would he do? Brave Bird? Would you Brave Bird? I'm kind of scared about that that possibility. I'm gonna go into Celesteela. I'm gonna play it a little bit safe. I don't even know if this is like the Corviknight that just would love to build defense and kind of go from there. So it does go for Brave Bird. I don't want Coco taking unnecessary damage if it doesn't have to. This as well allows me to set up potential Leech Seed, which would be very, very fantastic. I don't see a recovery item on Hector here, the Corviknight, but the potential of Roost is always there, right? But there's nothing except for Kartana that's going to not have anything done with the Leech Seed. But I have to be careful, because if that Kartana comes in for free and maybe it starts Swords Dancing and whatnot, that could be a really, really big issue for me. But I'm just going to go for a Leech Seed here, as he's going to go for the U-turn, which is perfectly fine. We're gonna heal back a little bit. I could have also protected there, but very, very high chances of him just potentially just swapping out, and I would have just got the free heals anyways. So Toxapex is here. This is not good. Are you just gonna T-Spikes? Will you Scald? This is gonna be a pretty major turn, I think. If I go hard Coco now, it's going to force out the Zygarde, I think. It might force him to go Zygarde because of the crazy pressure of a Thunderbolt. And I'm okay with that. I'll also get a little bit of Leech Seed healing. If he wants to Scald, that's perfectly fine. I don't think, like, even if this Toxapex is actually just carrying Toxic instead of Toxic Spikes, it wasn't going to be something for me. And he actually just goes into the Zygarde. And this is where I actually just need to go for the Dynamax here. Again, I don't know. I have to assume, okay, so it's leftover Zygarde, so I have to assume that this thing is actually carrying that ability that would allow it to get big. And I have to get rid of this thing, like, ASAP. Unfortunately. It kind of is just the way it is. It's the way it's planned out here. And again, I can't really afford to lose Coco. Like, even if he brings in, like, let's say if he brings in Kartana next, and he Dynamaxes himself, or something like that, right? I would actually be forced to swap out Coco here. So I'm giving up a Dynamax to deal with this thing, and I'm willing to swap out the last two turns just to keep it alive, because the main reason as to why I even threw Tapu Koko on the team to begin with, oh my gosh, it just lived. The main reason as to why I threw in Tapu Koko to begin with was because of Toxapex. Goes for the sub, doesn't have enough HP. Perfect, at least. At least that was perfect. Substitute, what do you, substitute Coil, like 2 attacks or something? That would be pretty nuts. Are you just gonna take this? I don't think you'd give up Zygarde that easy. The Zygarde didn't transform though, so I don't think it is. So he might have actually just been playing 100% an OU viable team. But like I wouldn't know, right? That's kind of the issue here. I wouldn't know. So he goes right back into Toxapex. He could. What would he do here? Would he just protect? Would he just shield up here? Would he think like I'm just gonna go for an electric type attack because there's a Toxapex and he goes right back into Zygarde? Feels a little bit more with that. And all my Dynamax turns are pretty much done. Do I just go for Max Starfall, anticipating that thing is actually going to be coming back in? Do I anticipate this thing actually just staying in and just guarding up? Or even just not even guarding up, just kind of just staying in and just absorbing the Max Starfall and just maybe doing something? It's really kind of like a toss-up on kind of what I want to do. I'm going to go for a Max Starfall here in prediction of the Zygarde coming back in. So he swaps and he brings in the Zygarde. So we made a good call there. That's big. That's actually really big. And now there's actually nothing on his team that is completely immune to electric type attacks, right? I can easily throw out the Thunderbolts, the Volt Switch. Obviously, Pokemon like Kartana is still it's still a pretty big issue at the end of the day. So that's something that we kind of need to prepare for. We do have Celesteela. For the most part, we have. I can't say we have Aegislash because that's not a thing. Because this thing, I think Kartana can get knockoff, I believe, and that is a bigger issue as well. The thing is, I don't have anything for. Do I outspeed? I honestly don't know Kartana's speed. We probably outspeed. So I could easily just Volt Switch here, maybe. As he goes for his own Dynamax. Let's see what happens. Again, I maybe I shouldn't have risked this because I do need this Pokemon for the Toxapex. Again, it's not the end of the world. It just makes that matchup a lot easier. I think it'll come down to like me coming in with like a Blissey, a Celesteela, and just trying to kind of hold it down. We did quite a bit of damage to a Dynamaxed Kartana there. He's just going to steel type attack, right? So I think I could easily go into Celesteela. There's nothing that he's going to do to me, I would say. But there's nothing I could do to him with Celesteela. And this is something that I kind of pointed out at the beginning there. So he goes Max Knuckle. So he's going to go +1 attack. That's actually really, really, really big. As he can actually land another one. This is huge. This is actually really, really huge. So he's up +1 attack now. Didn't think that he was going to do that. Very, very interesting. Had I just gone T-Bolt, that would have been... I don't know. I don't know what he would have done there. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have like a priority move, right? So I think once Coco's ready to come back, I can fire a T-Bolt and kind of feel no ways about this. But he'll probably go for another fighting move here, right? Yeah, Max Knuckle, and it's not going to affect me because I'm Ghost type here. But he is still very, very threatening. So now there's no more electric terrain. He hasn't set up any grassy terrain by using, what would it have, like a Leaf Blade or something? I'm not too well versed on Kartana. So it's pretty interesting. It's going to be a pretty interesting time here. I can get a Blandurus just to get the -1 on him. Going into Celesteela, I just take... Maybe I take resisted damage, but I don't do much past that, right? At least we'll bring him down back to regular. Show me the dark. Show me the dark move. And he will take a little bit from Rocky Helmet. Yep, so Max Darkness, which I assume that's the knockoff, really. And we go down in special defense, and that's okay. I don't think he knocks us out, even if he crits. But I don't think that's something that I necessarily need to kind of mess around with right now, I think. But I could just stay in and... do I need Lando to begin with? Not necessarily, right? Like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm kind of good without Lando. Like Lando's not really doing a whole lot to begin with. I'm just gonna go for an earthquake here, as he goes for the knockoff. Maybe I live. I do live. That's pretty intense. He'll take the damage from the Rocky helmet. The earthquake will come through. Do we get the knockout? Do we not get the knockout? We get the knockout, and that's big. That is big. And he actually rage quits here. Kind of sad that the battle ends there, but what can I do? It's not on my end. If I go, you can see the bottom right, I can swap over to local communication. I'm not disconnected, but I'm not disconnected on the internet whatsoever. So I don't know. This is. I wish it went down a little bit better, but hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys on the next battle. So see you then.